are in town for the annual National Association of Black Journalists Conference, and this means big bucks for the New Orleans area. I'm Alexis Wainwright.
And I'm Donnie Holloway. Thanks for joining us. After years of financial struggles, NABJ now boasts a nearly $1.3 million surplus. Most of the surplus will be kept in reserve for operating expenses. The rest will be divided to use for things like investments. The 42nd Annual National Association of Black Journalists opening ceremony was an extravagant celebration. This event took place within the grand ballrooms A and B, and even the hallway was full of NABJ members mingling and hugging. The excitement was in the air with the good vibes of the New Orleans jazz music. There was even a Walt Disney welcoming band that marched over from the ballroom to the other drinks, food, and entertainment. Such a grand welcome and kickoff start to the NABJ convention this week. As thousands of journalists and media professionals make their way into New Orleans, NABJ is expecting record attendance. With networking, mentoring, good food, and more than 175 workshops, there's something for everyone at this year's NABJ convention.
We're very excited to welcome NABJ, and we're very excited to be here in the city of New Orleans for our 42nd annual convention.
Former NABJ President Bob Butler has been attending conventions for more than a decade. He says that New Orleans is the perfect host city.
People love coming to New Orleans. I mean, who does not like being in New Orleans, okay? I mean, this is one of the best cities in the country.
Nearly 2,900 attendees have already registered, a record for a single convention. Samantha Bryant is one of the many people looking for a great experience at this year's conference.
Definitely excited to really take in the knowledge from everyone who can offer it and to learn something and hopefully get a job.
NABJ President Sarah Glover says the organization is in a phenomenal position and that she expects hundreds more to register for the convention throughout the week.
This year, we've built upon that momentum, and we are going to deliver a back-to-back convention experience that will likely top programming that we've had in the history of our organization.
One thing's for sure, NABJ members are powered up and ready to break through. This is the second time that the convention has been held in New Orleans.
Companies are going beyond the typical branded paraphernalia to attract convention goers. There are several interactive booths you can visit this year at the career fair. AT&T offers a chance to test your camera skills by introducing the trailer to the Starz hit show Power. Downstairs, you can be the first to get a seat in the 2018 Toyota Camry. Picture for the road provided by Bosco. Fox News and Tegna are offering free professional headshots to journalists who express interest in the companies. And Fox teamed up with Journalism Next to add attendees' information to a database for potential employers to access. Also, attendees can take a break to watch highlights from baseball and hockey games thanks to the New England Sports Network virtual reality.
Hundreds of NABJ goers expect to leave New Orleans with a number of contacts and hopes for their careers. Penelope Blackwell joins us with a look at the expectations at this year's conference. Hello, Penelope.
Hi. The search for a job can often be stressful and tedious. That's one of the reasons the NABJ Career Fair offers an incredible opportunity for journalists to job search. The more experienced journalists know about hitting the job fair early and often. That includes Bramante Bryant, who has been part of the NABJ for more than 25 years. It's a great way for Bryant to improve his craft.
Download the information and you see who's here. You update your resume. I bring experience. I bring someone who knows a story, how to put a story together, how to tell a story, and how to meet a deadline.
The career fair is open Thursday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. For NABJ TV, I'm Penelope Blackwell.
The National Association of Black Journalists has struggled to keep an executive director over the past few years. NABJ has had 7 executive directors over the past 10 years. The nationwide search has been intense and extensive to make sure the right person gets the job. I spoke with NABJ President Sarah Glover about their nationwide search.
So NABJ is hiring the executive director right now. We have a search underway. It's an exciting time for our organization to be able to bring in executive leadership, and the overwhelming response has been indicative of what, you know, NABJ's standing is within the journalism community and the nonprofit world.
Glover and the board of directors hope to name the new executive director as soon as possible.
Big success brings the National Association of Black Journalists and Hispanic Journalists back together for another joint convention, and the plans are already getting in motion. Two longtime journalist organizations have agreed to reunite again based on their successful history.
Just to catch up and see how they're doing, it's always a good time.
NABJ President Sarah Glover and NAHJ President Brandon Benavidez signed a memorandum to officially begin planning a joint convention in 2020. It will mean big bucks for both organizations.
The joint convention last year was actually something that helped us financially because we were able to generate a lot of money. And rather than spending the money on parties or temporary things, we decided to reinvest it where it'll have better long-term value.
But there's more than one reason for the partnership. In a statement, Benavidez said, reviewing the numbers from 2016 shows that it is beneficial from a financial perspective, but also a significant opportunity to share and explore a mission. This will be the second time NABJ and NAHJ have collaborated after parting from Unity, a nonprofit association of color.
We have had explosive partnerships come together, that folks that wanted to be a part of that record-setting convention, and some of that excitement has carried through to this year.
NABJ cut ties with Unity in 2011. NAHJ did the same thing in 2013. Benavidez says, while Unity has the potential to propel the same spirit and direction, it is critical that if we do revisit the concept, we take the time needed to prepare and plan an operational model that would appropriately benefit all associations involved.
So we're going to be able to deliver a back-to-back incredible experience for our NABJ members and partners.
Organizers expect a record-breaking convention in 2020, the location to be announced.
It's an election year for NABJ offices up for vice president and broadcast student representative. Members got a chance to hear from the candidates at a forum Wednesday afternoon. The current VP, Dorothy Tucker, is facing off against current Region 3 Director Gail Hurd. NABJ students Kyra Zone and Lawrence Malloy are competing for office. Conventions in New Orleans, like NABJ, mean big bucks for hotels, but not everyone is forking over green dollars and looking for their stay in the Big Easy. LaCandice Brown is here to tell us how journalists have found a way to save their convention budget low.
Chances are you're going to spend no less than $120 a night for a hotel room here in New Orleans. But I found an alternative place you can stay that fits almost any budget.
Thousands of people attending the NABJ convention will spend money for hotel rooms, but some are saving big money for a place to stay. Casey Freeman is from Dothan, Alabama. She decided to stay in an Airbnb.
However, as far as the conference goes and other expenses that play, personally, the Airbnb was just a better option for me.
Thomas Albert manages an Airbnb on Bourbon Street. He welcomes convention goers on a tight budget.
Looking for a different kind of experience that you can't get at a hotel, then Airbnb is the way to go.
Clarence Stone prefers to stay in a traditional hotel. He doesn't mind spending the extra money instead of saving on an alternative stay.
Actually, I went to the NABJ conference last year, and I was staying in a hotel that was a little bit further away. I had to take the metro station to get there, and it wasn't too bad, but it was still kind of inconvenient. I didn't like that if I needed to grab something from my hotel, I had to run 15 minutes away, catch a train or catch an Uber to get back to where I needed to go.
So, as most NABJ attendees check into the host hotel during this record-breaking attendance year, a handful of people will find a comfortable bed somewhere else.
You can save even more money by booking your room at an Airbnb online ahead of time. For NABJ TV, I'm LaCandice Brown.
More NABJ news plus weather and sports.
Stay with us. NABJ News will be right back.
Higgins started building boats in New Orleans in 1931. Throughout the war, Higgins built 20,094 boats. Everyone in New Orleans either worked at Higgins, a relative worked at Higgins, or they knew someone that worked at Higgins. What was done here affected the entire world. The Higgins boats changed the strategy of modern warfare. He gave them the ability for the first time to be able to move men and material from ships at sea to open beaches. No longer did the enemy know where you were going to attack. New Orleanians should be incredibly proud of what this city did during World War II. Because of Mr. Higgins, we saved probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lives by giving them the proper equipment to safely land on that beach.
This moment of New Orleans history is part of WDSU's Making 300, celebrating 300 years of our city's rich and unique culture, sponsored by the historic New Orleans Collection, preserving the history and culture of Louisiana for over 50 years.
Steve Harvey's taking suggestions for his new daytime show.
Shave the mustache. Really? More dancing. More celebrities. That's why I'm moving the show to Hollywood. Kangaroo boxing. Nope. Funny animal tricks. Steve on a trapeze. These feet don't leave the ground. Start taking a spinning class. Wow. I know I could use some spinning.
Coming this fall to WDSU.
Somebody scream! In New Orleans, there's nothing better than the classics like the Dewdrop Jazz Hall. World's oldest country jazz hall right here on the North Shore. When it comes to classic music, this is the place to be. And when it comes to classic TV, TV is my lifeline. You know it's Me TV New Orleans. Ain't no place like it. Yeah, peace out, Simone.
Watch Me TV New Orleans over the air on 6.2, Cox 108, and Charter 185.
The last presidential election popularized the term fake news, but what does it mean for journalism in today's age?
Well, Candace King uncovers how journalists are combating the challenge of misinformation.
CNN and MSNBC are fake news.
Got fake news?
I am today the North Korean Minister of Propaganda at this event.
NABJ attendee Paul Horner is not a journalist, but he's a self-described author of fake news. He now believes his own fake stories, designed to hurt the Trump campaign, actually created a following.
I was so confused of how this evil got in the White House, and I didn't know if I had something to maybe do with.
Horner served on a panel called Fake News, Real Consequences, moderated by NABJ lifetime member and Emmy Award-winning reporter Andrew Humphrey.
I had the idea for this panel because fake news is not only the hot term, but it's really a big topic in the field of journalism itself. And also for the public at large.
Even though the term fake news is common these days, the NABJ session had little turnout. But aspiring journalist Victoria Lucian considers it a priority.
As an aspiring journalist, I've heard a lot about fake news, and I felt like it was important for me to come here today to just understand a bit more what fake news is. And I was actually very surprised that we had a panelist today who discussed and who writes fake news.
Reporters are fighting an uphill battle with the surge of misinformation. It also means doing more fact-checking, which journalists say is not a bad thing.
For journalists, it puts us more on our P's and Q's. It holds us more accountable and really adhering to our fundamentals, especially when it comes to news gathering, whether it's sourcing and double sourcing and making sure that those sources tell the truth.
Reporting for NABJ TV, Candace King, New Orleans.
CNN political analyst April Ryan says the jobs of journalists have come under attack. The current political environment has caused a great deal of concern for journalists already challenged with verifying their sources.
I'm concerned for journalists. I'm concerned for journalism. I am concerned that there are people who have great journalistic integrity and prowess and know how to keep moving. We are not just people that just pick up the phone and see something and throw it up on a blog. We are trained, we know our craft, we have sources, we get facts, we get a whole bunch of stuff to make the stories that matter. So I'm concerned for the future of it, but I believe as long as we have good people who are still here to win ISIS is our example, I believe that we will be okay.
Ryan also says journalists should be trained in their craft to know what the story is and how to report it. She also says the thought makes her emotional because she simply does her job. Ryan will be honored this week as the 2017 NABJ Journalist of the Year.
Today, 5 of the 44 NABJ founders discussed their long-standing history with the organization. They talked about topics that focus on the organization's start, growth, and political consciousness. Here's what NABJ founder Joe Davidson had to say.
Our struggles are not over. I think the way we deal with them perhaps is not as we don't deal with them as overtly to some extent as we did before, but the struggles are still there. And so I think it's important to understand the socioeconomic and political situation of black people in this country and around the world, and understanding that we can use our craft to help better that situation. So I think a study of history is very important, and then applying it to today's circumstances.
Some of today's founders of NABJ remain active to help make sure the organization's mission continues to be vibrant and strong. Part of the NABJ conference is getting the next generation of journalists ready for the real world.
It really does, and that's why dozens of veteran journalists volunteer their time and skills in the Student Education Enrichment and Development Program, also known as SEED. CECIL Hannibal joins us with highlights from this year's program. CECIL?
Hundreds of students applied for the coveted spot in the SEED program. This year, there are 27 very fortunate young journalists participating in the intense workshop. It's a real working newsroom with deadlines, reporters, and yelling producers. But it's an experience of a lifetime.
Being in the student projects means a lot to me.
Philip Jackson is trying to find his first job out of college. He's one of many students taking part in the student media projects.
I hopefully see myself finding a job opportunity after this. I did recently graduate from Hampton in May.
College students from across the country are selected to work in a real newsroom at the National Convention. Whether their concentration is broadcast, public relations, or print, each and every student has the opportunity to hone their skills under the same roof. The student project is the brainchild of veteran journalist Sheila Brooks.
Starting these student projects was a passion of mine for so long. I came to NABJ as a student member in 1977.
The NABJ Student Project has paid off huge in the 28 years it's been up and running. To this day, Brooks continues to see how her work has helped journalists in the industry.
We trained more than 300 journalists, and I can tell you, to this day, at least a third of those young people I am in touch with today.
Alexis Mitchell is in charge of the Student Project and of making sure the students believe in themselves.
Confidence, knowing that they can do it. In this business, you will have so many people to tell you you can't.
And thanks to NABJ.
So right now I'm looking for job opportunities, also looking to build my network.
Students like Philip Jackson will leave New Orleans with confidence. As one of the SEED program participants, this has been a real life eye-opener that has challenged me in every way, especially when it comes to meeting deadlines. From NABJ News, I'm Cecil Hannibal.
Right now we have weather and storms moving up along the South Shore towards the north, and it's beginning to move into the metro area. So you're going to want to hold on to those umbrellas because rain and storms may be on their way. Here we have our overnight forecast. As you can see, as the temperatures begin to drop, that rain is going to begin to dissipate. But then tomorrow morning is going to be absolutely gorgeous. As the day begins to heat up, the rain and storms will be back, and there's potential for heavy local rains, even in the heat. If you're inside the hotel, it will be very cold and you might need a jacket. Right now, we're going to take a look at our overnight forecast. As you can see, our temperatures are going to drop into the mid to high 70s. And then as the day moves along, it'll be getting warmer up into the early 90s. Also, this weekend is going to be a great opportunity for you to look at the Perseid meteor shower. So wherever you are, make sure to look up.
New Orleans' leader in breaking news is WDSU News.
Every morning brings new stories to our lives.
And new questions. Do I need the umbrella?
How are the highways? Is there a slowdown I should avoid?
WDSU News is live, local, late-breaking coverage that you can get anywhere, anytime.
Your day starts fast, so start it with a news team that's up to speed.
WDSU News This Morning, weekdays starting at 4:30, followed by the Today Show.
When I think of jazz, I think of New Orleans. When I think of New Orleans, I think of jazz, and I think everybody does. There are a lot of different locations where the roots of jazz started, one of which is Congo Square. People would get together and play drums and dance and sing and play music. The tipping point for when jazz starts is right after Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896, because that decision meant that the African Creoles who played a kind of light European-oriented classical music were forced to compete for jobs with the African-American former slaves who were playing kind of more raggy, blues-oriented music. And when you combine those two, that's basically what becomes jazz. You can't understand New Orleans and you can't understand America in general unless you understand jazz.
This moment in New Orleans history is part of WDSU's Making 300, celebrating 300 years of our city's rich and unique culture. Sponsored by Xavier University of Louisiana, helping students leave ready since 1925.
6 minutes may not seem like a lot of time.
But when severe storms threaten, every minute counts.
Here at WDSU, our radar gets you the information you need 6 minutes earlier.
So if a tornado is developing, I can tell you about it that much faster.
It's time you can use to get your family to a safe place.
So during severe weather, you can count on our team to get you fast, accurate information on air, online, and on your phone.
The WDSU Weather Team, live, local, late breaking.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chancellor Johnson. When it comes to likable guys in sports, Anthony Davis is right there. Smart and classy. The Pelicans All-Star is always smiling and universally loved. His new teammate DeMarcus Cousins, well, he's got a saltier reputation. Boogie set an NBA record for technical fouls, and his body language on the court sometimes leaves a lot to be desired. That said, Fire and Ice, as they have been nicknamed, are the cornerstones of the Pelicans franchise and played very well together at the end of last season. But back to Boogie's reputation. He's got a good sense of humor about it, and he's starring in a hilarious new Foot Locker commercial with NFL defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh, a notoriously dirty football player. The joke is the two want people to see them as more than just their reputations, but they just can't get out of their own way.
I know what you mean. They create this narrative that we're selfish or difficult or dirty. Are we perfect? Maybe not. Well, who is?
The entire Foot Locker commercial is hilarious. Now, on the court, Cousins spent the summer in Los Angeles working out with Anthony Davis. Boogie has lost 25 pounds, and according to AD, he has expanded his game.
I really believe he really thinks he's a point guard. Every drill he wants to do, he wants to, all right, could we start out on the floor and then, get into it? So he's gotten a lot better. Of course, with the weight loss, haven't seen him play yet, but he said he feels like he's in the best shape of his life. So I'm excited about that and come out guns blazing and start the season.
DeMarcus Cousins becomes an unrestricted free agent this summer, so the pressure to produce a winning season with Boogie and AD is tremendous. Make the playoffs and Cousins probably re-signs. Another losing campaign, and he probably bolts to chase the postseason with another franchise. Now, on to the Saints, who are trying to snap a 9-game preseason losing streak. That's right, the Saints haven't won an exhibition game since 2014. The Black and Gold play the Browns in Cleveland Thursday night. No official word yet on if Drew Brees and Adrian Peterson will play in the game. If they do, it won't be much. What we'll all be paying close attention to is that defense. Can a unit that's been ranked a woeful 31st, 30th, and 27th the previous 3 seasons in overall NFL defense finally get it together?
Last year, so far removed from where I'm at, as far as my mindset's concerned, it'd be hard to compare. I think again with every season, you start over and you build your culture and you build the right mindset for your team. And I do like the progress that we're making right now.
Seriously?
in breaking news is WDSU News.
Every morning brings new stories to our lives.
And new questions. Do I need the umbrella?
How are the highways? Is there a slowdown I should avoid?
WDSU News is live, local, late-breaking coverage that you can get anywhere, anytime.
Your day starts fast, so start it with the news team that's up to speed.
WDSU News This Morning, weekdays starting at 4:30, followed by the Today Show.
Let's see. Bottled water, batteries, the WDSU Hurricane Central app. Check.
Are you ready for hurricane season? For real-time tracking of the storms, download the free WDSU Hurricane Central app. Sponsored by Rouse's Markets. You're either local or you're not.
Higgins started building boats in New Orleans in 1931. Throughout the war, Higgins built 20,094 boats. Everyone in New Orleans either worked at Higgins, a relative worked at Higgins, or they knew someone that worked at Higgins. What was done here affected the entire world. The Higgins boats changed the strategy of modern warfare. He gave them the ability for the first time to be able to move men and material from ships at sea to open beaches. No longer did the enemy know where you were going to attack. New Orleanians should be incredibly proud of what this city did during World War II. Because of Mr. Higgins, we saved probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lives by giving them the proper equipment to safely land on that beach.
This moment of New Orleans history is part of WDSU's Making 300, celebrating 300 years of our city's rich and unique culture, sponsored by the historic New Orleans Collection, preserving the history and culture of Louisiana for over 50 years.
New Orleans is known for its great cuisine. From the beignets to the Cajun jambalaya, you can find it within walking distance.
The hotel staff, Uber drivers, and all of them recommended restaurants such as Drago Seafood and the famous Café du Monde. For more restaurants and a map of their locations, visit www.nabjmonitor.com. I know I can't wait to try some of that good food. We had some of that gumbo. It was just delicious.
Phenomenal.
It's fantastic.
It was
really good.
It looks great.
Yep. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on this edition of NABJ News. I'm Donnie Holloway.
And I'm Alexis Wainwright.
Have a good night.